There was once a traveler who carried a small pouch of rare seeds. Everywhere he went, he spoke proudly of what he would plant: gardens of beauty, trees of fruit, forests of shade. He told strangers, friends, and even those who did not ask. People praised him, some doubted him, and some quietly wished him to fail. But as the traveler spoke more and planted less, the seeds in his pouch grew fewer, not because they were sown, but because time and distraction consumed them. His dream remained only words carried by the wind. In this life, many speak of their plans as if speaking is the same as doing. But words once released scatter your energy. They invite opinions, doubts, jealousy, and even unseen resistance. What is still forming within you is delicate, like a sprout pushing through the soil. If exposed too early, it can be trampled by the careless steps of others. To remain silent about your plans is not to hide in fear. It is to protect in wisdom. When a seed is planted, it does not announce itself to the sky. It rests in darkness, nourished by patience. Only when it is strong does it rise and reveal its leaves to the world. In the same way, let your actions grow roots before your words grow branches. Many seek validation before they have built anything. They speak their intentions to feel the warmth of approval. But this warmth is temporary, like sunlight on a cold morning. It does not replace the steady fire of discipline. When you rely on the praise of others, you become dependent on their voices. And when those voices change, your path begins to shake. Walk your path quietly. Let your work speak when it is ready. There is also another truth. Not all who listen wish you well. Some carry hidden envy, some carry doubt, and some carry their own fears. When you share your plans, you open a door for their thoughts to enter your mind. A single seed of doubt planted by another can grow into hesitation within you. Protect your mind as you would protect a sacred place. This does not mean you must never speak. Wisdom is knowing when and with whom to share. A teacher, a true friend, or one who has walked the path before you may guide you. But the crowd does not build your destiny, you do. The mountain does not announce that it will stand tall. It simply rises. So move in silence, work with patience. Let your plans mature in the quiet spaces of effort and reflection. When the time comes, you will not need to speak of what you intended to do. The world will see what you have done. And in that moment, your silence will have spoken louder than 1,000 words. Silence protects your plans, keeping your goals private helps preserve your focus and energy while they are still developing. Silence has a quiet strength that many overlook in a world filled with constant speaking and sharing. When you hold your plans within, you create a space where they can grow without interference. Just as a seed rests beneath the soil, unseen and undisturbed, your goals need a protected place to take root. The moment you begin to speak too freely about what you intend to do, you expose something fragile to the outside world. At that early stage, even a small disturbance can shift your focus or weaken your resolve. When you keep your plans private, your energy remains centered. Words carry power, and every time you explain your intentions, you release a portion of that power outward. It may feel satisfying in the moment to talk about your dreams, to receive nods of approval or words of encouragement, but that feeling can be deceptive. It creates the illusion that progress has been made, when in truth, nothing has yet been built. The mind can confuse praise for action, and slowly, the urgency to work begins to fade. There is also a deeper layer to silence. Not everyone who listens to your plans will understand them, and not everyone will wish for your success. Some may doubt you openly, while others may carry silent envy. Even if their words seem harmless, their energy can plant seeds of hesitation within you. A single question like, "Are you sure you can do this?" can echo in your mind far longer than you expect. Over time, these small doubts can grow, making the path ahead feel uncertain. By choosing silence, you protect yourself from these influences. You allow your vision to remain clear, untouched by the noise of outside opinions. This does not mean you isolate yourself completely, but it means you are mindful of what you share and with whom. There is wisdom in waiting until your foundation is strong before inviting others to see it. In the quiet, your actions become your true language. Instead of speaking about what you will do, you begin to focus fully on doing it. Each small step you take builds confidence from within, not from the approval of others. This inner confidence is steady and reliable, unlike external validation which can change at any moment. Over time, your efforts will begin to show results. What once existed only as a private intention will become something real and visible, and when that happens, there is no need to explain or convince anyone. Your work will speak clearly and naturally. In this way, silence is not a weakness or a lack of expression. It is a form of discipline and protection. It allows your plans to grow strong roots so that when they finally rise into the light, they can stand firm, unaffected by the winds around them. Speaking too early weakens action. Talking about plans can create a false sense of achievement and reduce the drive to actually work on them. Silence is often misunderstood as absence, but in truth it is a form of preparation. When a person holds a plan within the heart and does not scatter it through constant speech, that plan begins to develop a quiet strength. It is like a river forming deep beneath the surface of the earth before it ever appears as a flowing stream. What the world does not see is often what determines everything that will later be seen. When you speak too early about what you intend to do, you invite a kind of fragmentation into your mind. Each time you repeat your plan to others, your attention shifts slightly outward toward their reactions, their expressions, and their opinions. Even if their responses are positive, your focus is no longer fully on the work itself. You begin to live partially in imagination and partially in approval instead of living fully in action. This division weakens the intensity required to bring ideas into reality. There is also a subtle psychological effect that occurs when plans are spoken too freely. The mind begins to feel that something has already been accomplished simply because it has been expressed. Words create a sense of completion even when nothing tangible has been done. This is why many people feel motivated after talking, but that motivation slowly fades when it is not grounded in consistent effort. The energy that should have gone into building is partially spent in speaking. Silence, on the other hand, preserves that energy. It keeps your attention gathered in one place, allowing you to move step by step without distraction. In silence, your thoughts become more organized. You begin to see flaws in your plan that you would not have noticed if you were busy explaining it to others. You refine your approach not for applause, but for truth and effectiveness. Another important aspect of silence is protection from external influence. Not every mind you encounter will be aligned with your purpose. Some will doubt you, not because they know your limits, but because they are familiar with their own. Others may project their fears onto your dreams. When you share your plans too early, you unknowingly allow these projections to enter your own thinking. A small doubt from someone else can grow inside you like a shadow that gradually expands if not observed carefully. By remaining silent, you maintain the purity of your intention. Your plan stays in its original form, untouched by unnecessary opinions. This allows your inner clarity to remain strong. You are then guided not by what others think is possible, but by what you know you are capable of discovering through effort. As you continue working in silence, something interesting happens. Your actions begin to build momentum. Each effort strengthens the next, and without the need for external validation, you develop a quiet confidence. This confidence is not loud or dependent on recognition. It is steady, rooted in experience rather than expectation. When results finally begin to appear, they carry more weight than any words you could have spoken earlier. At that stage, explanation becomes unnecessary. The work itself communicates everything that needed to be said. People may then ask how it was done, but they will already be seeing the answer in front of them. In this way, silence becomes not just a strategy, but a discipline of mind. It teaches patience, focus, and inner stability. It ensures that what is imagined is given the space to become real, without being disturbed by the noise of premature expression. Not everyone supports your journey. Sharing plans invites doubt, jealousy, and negative influences that can affect your mindset. There is a quiet wisdom in holding your plans close to the heart, where they are not easily touched by the noise of the outside world. When a person speaks too early about what they intend to do, they often scatter the very energy needed to complete it. Words once released cannot be taken back. They move outward, carrying intention away from action and sometimes leaving only fragments of focus behind. In silence, however, that same energy remains gathered, directed inward, and used for building rather than explaining. Every plan begins as something delicate, like a faint light in the mind. At this stage, it is not yet strong enough to withstand doubt or distraction. If exposed too soon, it becomes vulnerable to the opinions of others. People may not always understand your vision, not because it is wrong, but because they are viewing it through the limits of their own experience. When they question it, even gently, their words can plant uncertainty within you. Over time, these small uncertainties can grow and weaken your confidence, even if your original path was clear. Silence protects this early stage of creation. It allows ideas to mature without interference. In the absence of outside voices, you begin to hear your own thoughts more clearly. You start to notice what is necessary and what is unnecessary. You refine your direction quietly without the pressure of approval. This internal clarity becomes a guiding force that is far stronger than external encouragement, which often changes with time and circumstance. There is also a natural tendency in human nature to feel satisfied after speaking about a goal. When you tell others what you plan to do, the mind receives a small sense of completion. It feels as if progress has already been made, even when no real action has taken place. This subtle illusion can reduce urgency. The fire that should have been used for effort is partially spent on expression. As a result, what was once a strong intention slowly loses its intensity. In contrast, when you remain silent, that same fire stays intact. It pushes you forward in a more disciplined way. Instead of relying on words to define your progress, you rely on action. Each step becomes meaningful because it is not performed for attention, but for actual growth. This creates a deeper kind of motivation, one that does not depend on how others respond. Silence also creates a protective boundary around your vision. Not everyone who hears your plans will carry supportive energy. Some may project their own doubts or fears onto your ideas. Even if they do not intend harm, their uncertainty can influence your thinking. The mind is sensitive, and repeated exposure to doubt can slowly reshape confidence. By keeping your plans private, you reduce this risk and maintain a clearer mental space. As time passes and you continue working quietly, something steady begins to form. Your actions accumulate without interruption, and your skills develop without distraction. You grow in ways that are not immediately visible but deeply real. When results eventually appear, they carry the weight of consistency and patience. At that point, there is no need to explain the journey in detail, because the outcome itself becomes the explanation. True strength is often silent in its beginning stages. It does not seek attention while it is forming. It simply grows step by step until it becomes undeniable. In this way, silence is not the absence of communication but the presence of discipline. It is the space where plans are protected, strengthened, and transformed into reality without being weakened by premature exposure. Patience and quiet effort lead to growth like a seed growing underground. Success requires time, consistency, and unseen work before results appear. Silence is not only a shield for your plans, but also a mirror in which your discipline becomes visible to yourself. When you stop speaking about what you intend to do, you begin to confront a deeper truth, whether you are truly committed or merely attracted to the idea of becoming. Many people speak because speaking feels like movement, but silence reveals whether there is real movement or only imagination. In the early stages of any intention, the mind is naturally excited. It wants to share, to express, to be acknowledged. This is the stage where dreams feel large and emotions feel strong. But emotion alone does not build anything lasting. When speech replaces effort, the energy of the mind is released outward instead of being directed inward. Silence interrupts this pattern. It holds the energy within, forcing it to transform into action rather than expression. There is a quiet pressure in silence that many do not recognize. When you do not tell others what you are doing, you no longer have the comfort of external validation. You cannot rely on praise to feel progress. Instead, you are left alone with your effort, your discipline, and your consistency. This can feel uncomfortable at first because the mind is used to encouragement, but over time this discomfort becomes strength. It teaches you to continue without needing permission or approval. In silence, your actions begin to define your identity more than your words ever could. Each small effort becomes a private agreement between your intention and your behavior. When no one is watching, your honesty with yourself becomes the most important factor. This is where real transformation begins, not in announcement, but in repetition. Not in speaking, but in doing the same necessary things again and again until they shape your reality. Another subtle benefit of silence is that it removes comparison. When you speak about your plans, you often begin to measure yourself against the reactions of others. You notice who supports you, who doubts you, and who ignores you. This comparison shifts your focus outward, away from the work itself. But when you remain silent, there is nothing to compare. Your attention returns fully to the path you are walking, and your growth becomes more stable and personal. Silence also strengthens patience. When something is not spoken about, it is no longer bound by the expectation of quick results. Many plans fail not because they are impossible, but because they are rushed. Speech creates pressure for immediate outcomes, while silence allows time to unfold naturally. In this space, progress is not forced, it is cultivated. Like a tree growing in its own season, your efforts mature without distortion. There is also dignity in quiet effort. A person who works without announcing every step carries a different kind of presence. Their confidence is not borrowed from attention, but built from experience. They do not need to prove anything prematurely because they are still in the process of becoming. This quiet formation creates a stability that loud declaration cannot offer. When you finally reach a point where your work begins to show visible results, you realize that silence was not emptiness at all. It was preparation. It was protection. It was the space where distraction was removed and focus was strengthened. What was once invisible becomes undeniable, not because it was spoken into existence, but because it was carefully built in silence. Let results speak instead of words. True success does not need announcements. Your achievements will naturally reveal your efforts. Silence is often misunderstood as inaction, but in truth it is one of the most powerful forms of discipline a person can practice. When you choose not to speak about your plans, you are not hiding them from the world, you are protecting them from distortion. Every idea that exists in the mind is in a delicate state at its beginning. It has not yet formed strong roots, and it can easily be influenced, weakened, or redirected by external voices. Silence preserves its original shape long enough for it to grow into something stable and real. When a person frequently shares their plans, something subtle begins to happen. The mind starts to divide its energy between doing and explaining. Instead of focusing fully on the steps required to move forward, attention is pulled toward how others perceive those steps. This creates an invisible fragmentation. Even supportive words from others can become a distraction because they shift focus from internal effort to external response. In silence, however, the mind remains undisturbed. It is not concerned with approval or reaction, it is concerned only with execution. There is also a psychological illusion that arises when plans are spoken too early. The act of speaking creates a false sense of progress. The mind interprets expression as accomplishment even when no real work has been completed. This reduces urgency. What should have been used as energy for action is partially consumed by verbal expression. Over time, this weakens consistency because the mind feels it has already done something simply by describing it. Silence prevents this illusion from forming. It keeps intention and action clearly separated. Another important aspect of silence is protection from external influence. People carry different energies, beliefs, and limitations shaped by their own experiences. When you share your plans, you expose them to these interpretations. Not all of them will be aligned with your vision. Some may unintentionally project out caution or fear. Even a single negative suggestion can linger in the mind and begin to shape hesitation. Silence creates a boundary that prevents unnecessary interference, allowing your thinking to remain clear and self-directed. In silence, your relationship with effort becomes more honest. Without the presence of observers or the expectation of feedback, you begin to see your own discipline more clearly. You notice whether you are truly consistent or only motivated by attention. This internal honesty is uncomfortable at times, but it is also transformative. It removes dependency on external validation and replaces it with self-reliance. What you build in silence is built on authenticity rather than performance. As time passes, silence gradually changes the nature of your work. Instead of being driven by the desire to announce progress, you become focused on improving it. You refine your actions quietly, correcting mistakes without needing to justify them. Each effort becomes part of a private process of growth. This steady repetition creates depth because it is not interrupted by the need to explain or defend your journey. Silence also nurtures patience. When plans are not constantly spoken about, there is less pressure to rush outcomes. Growth becomes a natural process rather than a forced one. Just as nature does not hurry the growth of a tree, silence allows your efforts to mature at their own pace. This leads to more stable and lasting results. When results finally emerge from such a process, they carry a different quality. They are not shaped by expectation or shaped by audience reaction. They are shaped by uninterrupted effort. At that point, words become unnecessary. The work itself communicates everything that was once kept silent.